What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. I review the market every single day. I cover content from all kinds of different traders, covering all kinds of different trades you could have taken. If you like this type of content, definitely consider leaving a like, subscribing, and also checking out my completely free Discord. The link to that is in my bio. Now today, guys, I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty low-key Monday, but we're still going to review the market. I'm going to try and pump these out consistently for you every single day. That's my new goal, and I really do want to be consistent with it. So, without further ado, let's jump into the charts. So, higher time frame, we're expanding up, and first thing I want to say is the reason we're not going lower in the short term is because you can see this is just a higher time frame market maker buy model, right? And this is from my friend. It's a algo. You can see he is posted this, but on the higher time frame, the reason we're not going lower, the reason we keep failing to run all these lows is because you have to look at the higher time frame, right? The higher time frame is, this is clearly a higher time frame market maker buy model, and if you look at the monthly, you can see that we have a giant monthly inverse fair value gap. And this is a good inverse fair value gap because we go ahead and sweep out these lows here. So quick pop off the lows and then inversion to the upside. As far as trades go for today, guys, today was a very hard day to trade, and my honest thoughts on today are, if you didn't get something in here, once we start chopping around, stay away. You can see it was a hard day for a lot of people, and a lot of people were confused. Like, break even very tough. A lot of people are like, why is price why did this fail? Why is this bad? Guys, we just got to stay away from price action like this. If we ever see price just chopping around, like, come back another day. The market's still going to be here. We don't need to trade this. We can chill out and wait for higher probability conditions. There's no reason to be trading this. I know Dodgy took a trade in here, but guys,
Yo, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen?
I would not take this. Just because you see someone else take a trade doesn't mean that it's right for you. If this trade doesn't make sense to you, don't take it. For me, this is way too choppy for me to even consider taking this. This is really lower probability for me, and I wouldn't take it. That's what I mean when I say you guys gotta find conviction in what makes sense to you. You can't just go off of what other people tell you. You have to understand, like, what actually makes sense to you. For me, there was only really one trade that I maybe would consider, but to be honest, I would really highly recommend staying away from everything in general. The reason I would say maybe is because technically this trade is invalid, but I still like it because, one, delivering from a fair value gap. So we're delivering from a fair value gap. Two, it's really obvious that it's accumulation. You can see that is just very obvious accumulation range. Accumulation. Manipulation, right? We sweep out these lows. Very obvious sweep, right? You want to see obvious sweep. You really always want to see an obvious sweep. If you don't see that sweep, there's really no one that was manipulated. That doesn't make any sense to take a trade if there's no good sweep, guys. And then we inverse this. The reason I say it's invalid is because we close above, or we wick above this internal high. So I probably wouldn't take it. I just wouldn't take it, because why would I take an invalid trade? But guys, if I was to take a trade, I think this would be the best one. I mean, it's not even valid, but from an accumulation, manipulation, distribution point of view, I think it's pretty good, right? Accumulation, manipulation, and then you can see how we perfectly go up to the second standard deviation here, right? And then the fourth standard deviation. So very, very cool. But you guys can see how this is very obviously accumulation, manipulation, distribution, right? And the other nice thing about this is this was right at market open. But you can see Dodgy talks about this one. Don't know where. Okay, I guess I didn't save it. But he does talk about it, and he says invalid. And yeah, I mean, that's where you have to be able to figure out like what trades make sense to you, what don't. But yeah, I personally probably would not take that. Now, Hydra, this is so interesting because once again, guys, I'm not taking trades at all today. This is lower probability conditions, and honestly, this type of days you just gotta stay away. But you can see we do have a trade from Hydra, and I'm honestly confused what he's even meaning by this because he gives a little bit of context. He says, this was a live call on stream, but I ended up closing this trade early at break even as I thought it's the wrong trade. I have no idea what he means by that, guys. But essentially, this was your 2022 model. It's where you sweep out the high, break the low, get a fair value gap. But guys, I'm not gonna lie. Once again, I'm not messing with this price action. This is not high probability price action. I don't care how much you like your model. It's not going to be as good if we're in a consolidation like this. You got to wait for the market to actually give you its hand, show you its higher probability, move in the direction that it wants to go. Like, this is just chopping around, right? I don't want to mess with this kind of price action. So, yeah, wouldn't mess with this. And once again, guys, just lower probability price action in general. Now, I will mark out a couple things. So now we're at the end of the video. I'm going to talk about a couple of the intermediate time frame models that I've been noticing because I think they're interesting. Once again, guys, reason we're not running these lows is because higher time frame, this is a giant buy model. So even though it looks like we're going to go run these lows, we're not running them because you have to pay attention to the highest time frames. And you can see this is very much a higher time frame model. In my opinion, I would probably call this a weekly model. Weekly fair value gap here. We sweep out the lows. So we'll start out with the weekly. For those, if you guys just wanted to stay for the trades, you guys are more than welcome to stop watching here. But I'm going to go over the higher time frame models here that I see, right? Weekly fair value gap, sweep, and then align time frame with weekly is 4 hour. So I see this as a weekly 4 hour model. I know my friend Algo said it was a daily model, but I'm just going off of what makes sense to me. Personally, I think this is a weekly fair value gap 4 hour model. So weekly fair value gap 4 hour change in state of delivery. And once again, guys, the only reason I'm really going over this is because today was just a really slow Monday and I want something else to talk about. So 4 hour change in state of delivery. And guys, you can see that we're now expanding up through to first, we hit this first standard deviation, we hit the second standard deviation, and we're expanding up to this third standard deviation. And you can see how every single fair value gap along the way here is being respected. Every single one. Guys, that's how you know order flow is bullish, when the fair value gaps get respected. That's how you know you're in a higher time frame model. And every single time we come below a low, it's inducement. You see that? You see how every single time we come below a low, it's just inducement to go higher. So that's how you know you're in a higher time frame model, right? And when every single time you go below a low, it's inducement. This is how you can anticipate inducements, guys. When every single time there's been inducement, you know the next time it's probably going to be inducement, right? So you can see that this was a fair value gap as well. So you can see this is fair value gap as well. What could you have anticipated? This is probably inducement, right? So as far as the intermediate time frame model goes, we knew that this is a weekly model, weekly 4-hour model. On the lower time frame, we end up getting S&T with this low. And we inverse this fair value gap. Now, I would not really ever take this because RR doesn't make sense, but it did end up taking us to this high. You can see how once we inverse this fair value gap, we did go up to this high. Now, once again, guys, I see this more as a lower time frame model, and I'll show you what I mean. So we have this 4-hour fair value gap with S&T. Once again, S&P makes lower low, NASDAQ makes higher low, so we get S&T, and then so we have 4-hour fair value gap, and then what I essentially see this as is 4-hour fair value gap, and then a line time frame is the 15-minute, and you can see we get that here. And you can see how perfectly we backtest that 15-minute change state of delivery. You see that? Getting inducement below this low. So inducement below this low, 15-minute change state of delivery. We backtest that perfectly. So if you were trading this market maker model, right? Enter on the change state delivery, anticipating the inducement, stop loss at the end of the body here, and you can really easily target the fourth standard deviation because you have this giant accumulation range, right? So this would be a 4-to-1. Now once again, guys, I'm not shooting 4-to-1s, but I am just showing you how it's all market maker models within market maker models. 4-to-1, there you go, hit. And it made sense because of liquidity. That's the important part, right? Is we had low resistance highs here, low resistance highs there, and we have low resistance highs here. So all of us taking profit here makes sense because people in this range are getting stopped out. So you have to think about if I'm taking profit, someone else needs to get stopped out. What old highs and lows in the market are going to be available for me to be taking profit where someone else is getting stopped out. That's the mindset you need to have when you're placing a trade. So there you go, 4 to 4.25, standard deviation gets hit off of the 15-minute change state delivery. Now once again, guys, for those of you who made it this far in the video, you get this little extra tip. See how we backtest OTE. I like to call this the flow state OTE entry. A lot of time we'll backtest OTE before we even get the change state delivery, right? And so this, a lot of time, if it makes sense with liquidity, this can allow for like insane RR trades. I'm not saying you should go take these, but I am saying, once we get better, maybe we could, right? Where we can get an entry here, stop loss at the end of the body, and then, you can see how this would be like the same thing as this other flow state trade, but instead you get a 12-to-1 instead of a 4-to-1. But like I said, we're not taking those yet. I just want to show you guys how everything is just market maker models within market maker models. And just to prove my point again, let's go on to the lower time frame. You can see we have this 1 hour for value gap here, right? 1 hour for value gap. One hour for value gap, and then on the lower time frame, line time frame is 5-minute, and you can already kind of see it, right? Market maker model, right? We have accumulation, manipulation of the lows here. You guys see it? accumulation, manipulation, and then what is this? We retest the change of state of delivery, right? What is that, 5 minute? We retest the 5 minute change of state of delivery. So you can enter like this. Stop loss at the end of the bodies here, and measure out standard deviations. You can see we go right to the 4th standard deviation perfectly. Boom. So if you guys still don't believe me, how come we went right to the 4th standard deviation and then we got a retracement, right? It's almost like the market's perfect, because it is. This is what I'm trying to say to everyone, guys. This stuff is all perfect. We just have to get better at reading it. That's really all it is, right? And you can see we go to the 1st standard deviation as well. And once again, before the model is even really confirmed, we go ahead and we backtest OTE twice. So with that, I'm going to end this video. Hopefully you found anything in this video helpful. But guys, I'm sorry we didn't have a ton of opportunities for trades today. But as far as models go, I think there were some pretty cool models that we had, both on the higher time frame and intermediate time frame and lower time frame. So yeah, sorry we didn't have a ton more trades, but once again, guys, stay away from this kind of price action. I wouldn't mess with this. I think this is like just, yeah, this is just gross. So with that, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I just want to keep getting better at these. I know I'm not perfect, but I'm going to keep trying and keep getting better. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.